Comfort partitioning solution, established in December 2015, has operated for over 40 years in the interiors construction sector, service including manufacturing, supply and installation of commercial and industrial partitioning systems to a range of customers including architects, major contractors, installers and distributors. The scope for this organization is to design, manufacture, installation of commercial fire rate partitioning system incorporating fire screens, hand railing and balustrade for a European customer base. Normative references using by these companies is ISO 19001:2015 Quality Management System Requirements. Next, ISO 14001:2015 Environmental Management Systems Requirements with Guidance for Use. Lastly, ISO 45001:2018 Occupational Health and Safety Management Systems.
Terms and definitions. However, it is not stated in the company's manual. Understanding the organization and its context, the business management system has been demonstrated to satisfy with the related ISOs, the legal legislation or regulatory compliance to the service or products offered will be demonstrated, audited, and inspected regularly. Understanding the needs and expectation of interested parties, where Comfort Petitioning Limited is committed to continually monitoring, reviewing, and analyzing information and relevant requirements of interested parties. Some of the internal and external interested parties listed below, such as owner as rightful owner and who runs the business, directors, employees, customers, and governing bodies. Other than that, regulatory bodies who will be the current legal obligations negotiator, subcontractors, neighboring business, a team under the IT division, GCI team which focuses on the cloud-based service, and auditors. KPL has determined the boundaries of the business management system and how it relates to our business core competency. The IMS was determined, designed and implemented to cover and support Comfort Petitioning Limited scope. One of its quality of the brand where company will be responsible for planning and delivery services, KPL have business strategy methods that implement environmental impact and reduce from consuming it. The company should monitor and report all accidents according to its relevant current legislation. For the business management system and its processes, Comfort Petitioning Limited has established and continually improved according to the requirements of the ISO. KPL is responsible to planning and delivery of its products and services and ensure that all information is held securely. KPL is determined required inputs and desired outputs of the processes to ensure an effective operation. During the management review, top management of KPL will evaluate processes and making the changes, intended results, and processes improved based on the process map.
Class 5 Leadership. Comfort Petitioning Limited Top Management Team are committed to the development and implementation of a quality, environmental, OHS, and ISMS policy. The business management system are both compatible with the strategy direction and the context of the organization. The whole system is frequently reviewed to ensure conformance to ISO 9001:2015, ISO 40001:2015, and ISO 45001 standards. Responsibility has been assigned to ensure that the business management system conforms to the requirements of the respective standard, and the provision to report on performance to the top management team has been defined. The designated senior management representative will ensure that all Comfort Partitions employees are aware of the importance of meeting customer as well as statutory and regulatory requirements, and overall to contribute to achieving Comfort Partition's quality, environmental, health and safety policy and objective which are aligned with the organization's strategic direction. The senior management team is responsible for implementing the BMS and ensuring the system is understood and comply with all levels of the organizations. Leadership and commitment for the business management system. The company has a designated senior management representative who is responsible for the maintenance and review of the business management systems. The ongoing activities of comfort partitions are reviewed regularly and that any required corrective action is adequately implemented and reviewed to establish an effective preventative process. Taking overall responsibility and accountability for the prevention of work-related injury and ill health, as well as provision of safe and healthy workplaces and activities. And ensuring that the OH&S policy and related OH&S objective are established and are compatible with the strategic direction of the organization and fully integrated into the BMS. Measurement of our performance against our declared qualitative objective is undertaken. Resources needed for the BMS are available, and employees have the necessary training, skills, and equipment to effectively carry out their work. Next, internal audits. Internal audits are conducted regularly to review progress and assist in the improvement of processes and procedures. Objectives are also reviewed, and if it's necessary amended, it will be reviewed at regular management review meetings and the performance communicated to all staff. Information established. The information security policy and objective are established in line with the strategic direction of the organization and that intended outcomes are achieved. BMS. The BMS is integrated into the organization business processes to ensure that the BMS achieve its intended outcomes. Communication also covering the importance of the effective BMS and conformance to the BMS requirements is in place. Last but not least, contribution. The contribution of person involved in the effectiveness of the BMS is achieved by engaging, directing, and supporting persons and other management roles within their area of responsibility. Comfort partitions, customer focus. Customer requirements and applicable statutory and regulatory requirements are determined and met. The risks and opportunities that can affect the conformity of products and services and the ability to enhance customer satisfaction are determined and addressed. They also focus on consistently providing products and services that meet the customer and applicable statutory and regulatory requirements. Last but not least, they focus on enhancing customer satisfaction as well. 5.2 Quality, Environmental and OH&S Policy. You can refer to the section 1.3 in this manual to see the Quality, Environmental, Health and Safety and ISMS policy of comfort partitions. 5.3 Organizational Roles, Responsibilities and Authorities. Comfort Partitions has an organization chart in place, employee contracts together with job descriptions to ensure that the appropriate personnel are in place to cover the whole context of the organization and strategy of the business. Actions to address risk and opportunities OH&S. Comfort Partitions Limited have identified the risks and opportunities that are relevant to their business management system from an operational perspective. This links to section 4.1 and 4.2, which is understanding the organization and its context, as well as understanding the needs and expectations of interest parties, and also provides information on low-level objectives. Within each of the areas, the risks are identified together with a rating as the importance of the risk, and the associated consequences and mitigation of the risk is also noted together with any new opportunities that they have identified. Comfort Partitions Limited Environmental Aspect Review. Comfort Partitions Limited has conducted a review based on the change, new or modified activities, products, or services to identify and evaluate aspects, impacts, and risks connected to its business operation. These include people, activities, buildings, services, and the scope of the business management system. The review of the environmental aspect is undertaken by the top management at regular intervals to ensure they are valid. Hazard identification by Comfort Practitioners Limited. Comfort, in consultation with workers, will identify where reasonably practicable or potential situations that may cause harm. In order to identify these hazards, the following are considered. First, past incidents or accidents, such as the internal or external to the organization, including emergencies and their causes. These are examined to see what happened and whether the incident or accident could occur again. Second, employees be consulted to find out what they consider are safety issues by asking workers about hazard, near misses they have encountered as part of their work. Third, how work is organized. Social factors include the workload, work hours, victimization, harassment and bullying, leadership and the culture in the organization. Fourth, work areas or work sites be inspected or examined to find out what is happening now. Identified hazards are documented to allow further action. The work environment, tool and equipment, as well as tasks and procedures should be examined for risks to work health and safety. Fifth, information about equipment and material safety data sheets be reviewed to determine relevant safety precautions. Lastly, welcome creative thinking about what could go wrong to identify what hazardous event that could take place. Risk to the OHS management system. The risk assessment record will be reviewed every 12 months as a minimum to ensure that the hazards are still current and the control measures are remain active. They will also be reviewed on any significant changes to the working environment or working practice and following any serious accident or incident happen. The risk assessment record will be held on the work reports and electronic copies on the BMS system for information purposes. All significant risk issues will be communicated to the appropriate director or senior manager to monitoring purposes and inclusion on the Corrective Action Report CAR for high-level further analysis. All staff that may be at risk will be informed of the significant hazard and any control measurements that they need to implement as part of their work activities. This to ensure that a consistent approach to the application of risk assessment techniques is applied across all services within the organization. Next, to create and maintain a culture of risk awareness within the organization, which is reflected in both business planning and operational management. Third, to promote a risk-aware organization through risk assessment and proactive risk management across all services. Last but not least, to create out training and support available for staff who undertake risk assessment. Opportunities to the OHS management system are covered in a variety of other classes which are CIR report, hazard identification, risk assessment, and performance evaluation. Determination of legal requirements and other requirements. Legal and other requirements are evaluated by a competent person to whom the job description relates for the experience required to carry out this task. The Legal and Compliance Register identifies the key legislative and regulatory obligations applicable to the legal aid NSW, the actions taken to ensure compliance with these obligations, and the responsible officer. The register is managed by the in-house counsel unit and updated by each division annually. Compliance obligations in environmental. According to ISO 14001, compliance obligations are legal requirements that an organization must comply with and other requirements that an organization has to or chooses to comply with. Comfort Petitions Limited has determined compliance obligations which are connected to the operation of the business and is contained within the Aspect and Impacts Register on a separate tab. environmental aspect is element of an organization's activities, products, or services that can affect the environment, while environmental impacts are any change to the environment, whether adverse or beneficial, wholly or partially resulting from an organization's activities, products, or services. This evaluation is undertaken by top management regularly to ensure that the organization complies with legal and other requirements, which include but not limited to any codes of practice. Planning action. The senior management team of Comfort plan for actions that consider best practices, technological options, financial, operational, and business requirements. A research background will be undertaken to determine the feasibility of the changes with regards to purpose of the change, any potential consequences, integration of the OHS system, the availability of resources, the allocation or reallocation of responsibilities and authorities, technical skills, timescales, risk and opportunities, impact, and also legal and other requirements. OHS objectives and planning to achieve them. The top management will determine environmental objectives and targets based on the identified significant aspect. This will be carried out initially and then repeated each year as part of their management review. Objectives and targets will be measurable where possible and will be consistent with their commitment to prevent pollution, their commitment to comply with compliance obligations as necessary, and to ensure they achieve continuous improvement. When determining objectives and targets, consideration will include technological options, financial, operational, and business requirements together with the views of interested parties. On completion of determining the objective and targets, it will be recorded within their matrix and then will be used to develop the program for implementing actions designed to ensure the individual targets are met and the overall objectives are achieved.
Next, on the seventh clause, which is support, there are 5 parts, which are first, resources, second, competence, third, awareness, fourth, communication, and fifth, documented information. Generally, Comfort Partitions Limited determines and provides the resources needed for the establishment, implementation, maintenance, and continual improvement of the business management system. They ensure that the below elements are taken into account when completing an evaluation. First, the capabilities of and constraint of existing internal resources. Second, what needs to be obtained from external providers. Second, for people, operation and context of the organization is taken into account when they determine the relevant persons necessary for the effective operation of the business management system. Third, infrastructure. All of their administration is conducted at their head office at Access 10. This includes management of financial matters, handling of client orders, and personal records. In terms of equipment used to deliver their products, services, asset registers, and maintenance records are kept for the following. First, office space, utilities, hardware or software, technology, machinery, vehicles, and plant equipment. Next, environment for the operation of process. KPL consists of office, warehouse, and manufacturing sites located in the North, South, and Midland. All of the sites have control temperature in place and heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system. All equipment is maintained with certificated evidence of maintenance for the HVAC system. All employees who are classed as DSE users have undergone DSE evaluation and appropriate equipment is in place to alleviate any restraint of the employee. Furthermore, the economic layout of sites is very good, minimizing any impacts on the environment. They also minimizes their waste, especially by reducing, reusing, or recycling as much as possible, including charity donations of surplus and suitable waste materials to local and national organizations. It also minimizes energy and water usage, in their buildings and processes in order to conserve supplies and minimize the consumption of natural resources. It also minimizes the environmental impacts of the transport corporations and through the use of sustainable transport solutions. For instance, their company vehicles will be diesel with low CO2 emissions and the supply of vehicles that comply with the latest emission standards. Next, monitoring and measuring resources. They ensure that all relevant equipment and personnel are monitored and measured to ensure that equipment and personnel are effective for the service or products they offer. They ensure that all equipment is serviced, maintained, and where applicable calibrated to statutory and regulatory requirements. They also ensure that all personnel are monitored on a regular basis. Next, organization knowledge. They also ensure that job specifications are produced, which include knowledge requirements for each individual role. Specific tests are implemented to ensure that persons are knowledgeable with the specific elements of roles. This also includes telephone interview, tests, internal training, or vocational certificates. For the second part, competence, all employees have the training and skills needed to meet their job requirements. All employees are monitored on an ongoing basis to identify any training and development needs. Competences and training needs are identified or satisfied by using all of the documents bolded below. For the third part, awareness, they ensure that all employees are aware of all policies and their contribution to the effectiveness of the business management system through all the bolded documents below. For the fourth part, communication internally, the company intranet is a source of information and is updated regularly to ensure that all information is correct. This is accessible by all staff. Next, staff meetings, team briefings, local H&S meetings. Externally, the company internet is a good source of information and is updated regularly to ensure that information is up to date. Client mail shots are sent out regularly to provide additional service, customer and supplier continuous improvement service, and lastly, company website. Continue to the fifth part, which is documented information. Generally, Comfort Partitioning Limited demonstrates documented compliance to ISO 9001, 2015, or any other standard in line with an XSL structure through this business management system manual on an electronic system which is available on the company intranet to all employees. All information is read-only and only accessible via the document owner for amendment. The BMS system is managed and maintained by the conformance team who report to the operations director. Next is creating and updating. The creation of documentation to support the business management system is primarily the responsibility of the board of directors. This has been delegated to the conformance team. Identification will be sought by a document number, date, and author. To aid the approval and suitability of documents, the managing director of Comfort Partitioning Limited authorizes the release and delegates any training required to the conformance team. And next is control of documented information. All documentation is controlled by versions and date and is listed on a master document list. KPL has so forth acts in place to avoid the loss of confidentiality, improper use or loss of integrity. Key office computers are backed up daily to tape on a local service. Remote office computers or laptops are backed up monthly to suitable magnetic or digital media. Controls of documents can be seen on the master document list and encompasses the following elements: distribution, access, retrieval and use, storage and preservation, including preservation of legibility, controls of changes, example version control, and retention and disposition. Documents can be retrieved by authorized personnel from the storage location specified and or from folders on the network. Customers' records are identified by their names. On or after the retention period starts, The relevant records will be reviewed by top management and will either remain in situ, be archived, or destroyed. If records are to be destroyed, they will be disposed of in a controlled manner. Sensitive hard copies will be shredded and soft copies will be deleted from the system. If records are to be archived, they will be identified and stored appropriately. Next, we continue on Clause 8 Operation. There are 7 parts, which the first is Operational Planning and Control, second, Determination of Requirements for Product and Services, third, Design and Development of Product and Service, fourth, Control of Externally Provided Products and Services, fifth, Production and Service Provision, sixth, Release of Products and Service, and lastly, Control of Non-Conforming Process Outputs, Products and Services. For the first part, Operational Planning and Control, Comfort has determined the requirements and controls implemented for all processes detailed in Section 4.4. Any planned changes and actions are controlled through planning action and management of change. Organization shall coordinate and communicate the relevant parts of the OH and management systems with other requirements. Environmentally, they have processes to ensure adverse effects are mitigated within provided products or services. Eliminating hazards and reducing OH and S risk, Comfort has a process in place to eliminate hazards and reduction of OH and S risk, taking into account the hierarchy of control. This is closely interlinked with risk in Clause 6. Next, management of change. The control of planned temporary and permanent changes that impact the OH and S performance together with the consequences of unintended changes is interlinked with Clause 6.1.2 and 6.1.4. Next, procurement. Comfort have controls in place to ensure that external provisions are approved before using the service and products. This is done via supplier OH and S questionnaire with supplier visit report. Under the procurement, there are 2 parts. Which are contractors and outsourcing. For contractors, Comfort has control in place to ensure that contractors and subcontractors are approved for knowledges, skills, methods, and means, consideration of hazard reporting, and coordination of activities carried out by external resource is undertaken and documented as necessary. Coordination methods include reporting of hazards between Comfort and its contractors, controlling worker access to hazardous areas and activities, reporting contractor or interested party injuries and or ill health, and processes to follow in emergency. Contractors are verified for the competence and capability of performing the task before being allowed to proceed with their work. Verification includes, but not limited to, satisfactory OH and S performance record, qualification, experience, and competence criteria for workers are specified and met through training. And third, resources, equipment, and work preparation are adequate and ready for the work to proceed. Next, for outsourcing. The outsourcing functions and processes should be controlled to make sure the external provider understands what is needed and also to ensure it is being done in an acceptable way. There is a need to document the extent of control over outsourced functions or process based on technical competence, potential effect of the outsourced process or functions within the OH and S management system. The degree of control should be defined in the OH and S management system.
Next, performance evaluation. Monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. Monitoring is based on risk and is linked to the corrective and preventive action registered together with the risk assessment which are carried out. In general, Comfort Partitioning Limited has deemed the following several elements for monitoring, measuring, analysis, and evaluation. It is to ensure the quality performance and the effectiveness of the business management system. In customer satisfaction, collects data on customer satisfaction through various means. Customer satisfaction survey is sent to the clients yearly, analyzed and evaluated at the management review meeting by the top management. Evaluation compliance. Competency of the evaluation of compliance is detailed within the job description, and as such the appointed person has the appropriate competency to complete. Activities, processes including equipment, materials, workers, location, including specific facilities. Analysis and evaluation. Result of feedback is evaluated through the management review meeting and action as applicable should any non-conforming areas be present. Next, internal audit. Comfort has a proactive audit schedule based on the complexity and maturity of its system. The organization is regularly externally audited by various bodies to access risk or clause-based auditing. All Comfort internal business activities are audited by relevant employees to the required accreditation. All audits are documented and appropriate action points signed off. In management review takes place on annual basis. The attendees present are top management and any other interested parties of the business. All inputs or outputs are fully documented and minutes recorded in line within the requirement of the specific ISO standard in which Comfort Partitioning Limited wish to be certified. Next, improvements. In general, Comfort Partitioning Limited ensure that improvement processes are completed and actioned as necessary. Analysis method includes various elements. Non-conformity and corrective action. Comfort Partitioning Limited designed an appropriate top management representative to ensure that corrective action, including root cause analysis, is completed and implemented to avoid any further occurrence. Should any non-conformance occur, then the internal audit report or non-conformance report must be completed to ensure that a full analysis of the problem is resolved. Changes to the business management system, products or services be required, then the planning changes document shall also be completed. Continual improvement. Continual improvement will be ongoing through various elements of business management system which encompass within this document.